And I still got about 40 minutes at least to roam from here. Maybe good news, I am not afraid of this. I think I can make it without much pain. Though I have got some other choices too. For example, to take the strong tail, and it may be taking me about 30 baht to reach the Tapai gate. Another choice, of course, is Grab. A taxi might take me about, I think, 100, maybe 100 Thai baht. And I think the worst choice should be the tuk-tuk. If you let me choose tuk-tuk, I would rather pay a little extra to take a Grab. And today, let's have some comments about my visiting Egypt, and it is inspired by a YouTuber, and in his video he talks about the worst 5 time choices to visit Egypt, the 5 worst ones. Usually the videos about the best time to visit, and he just wants to choose the opposites. Maybe he has been talking about the best some choices for so many times, so now it's time to talk about the opposite of this. And I can also add some of my experience too. The first worst time, and this is also the time I can add most of my comments because I chose that time. The first worst time is the hottest season. It is the summer, which is to say June, July, and August. Egypt definitely is not a very cool country with a very cool weather. In fact, in summer it is extremely hot. It's desert. So if you choose to come at that period of time, it means every day. In Cairo it might be a little bit better. You need to suffer from maybe 36 to 40 degrees Celsius. But if you want to travel south to Luxor, especially if you go to Aswan, you have to bear a temperature over 40 degrees Celsius. So just to think about whether you can handle this or not. For me, I visited the 3 places. It's true. It can be very challenging, especially when you go to some outdoor places like the Grand Pyramid, like the Saqqara in Cairo, or in Luxor you go to the if you go to the Valley of the Kings. All of the choices here are very challenging. I can still remember that I was the only person who chose to walk from ticket station or ticket center to the very spot, to the tomb or to the pyramid. There are some shuttle little buses you can take. Of course, you need to pay for that, but I don't think it's necessary, because you need to pay maybe 25 pounds just for maybe 3 minutes ride. I don't think it's necessary. But I must say that the Saqqara one is maybe more necessary. To walk from there can be really, really challenging. But I can still make that, right? I can still make that. And the half an hour I spent in 31st tomb, that half an hour it can also be very challenging. Good news is you are underground. Yes, this is a tomb buried underground, so you're underground. It's a little bit cooler down there, but it's very compared with the baking sun. Yes, you are not suffering from the baking sun, but the air there can be not that clear, or you may feel it's more humid down there. But in general, this is desert, and desert is dry. So even if it's over 40 degrees C, maybe you can still feel it's bearable because it's dry. If you do not want, if you just stay out of the sun, you can still bear that. But if this one is humid, not to mention over 40 degrees C, even 30 degrees C can kill you. So down the 31st tomb, the temperature is not that high, it's not over 40, but it's more humid. It feels maybe somewhat even worse. So the story becomes whether you can stand that. Another thing is 31st, actually, that tomb is especially expensive. So maybe for some travelers, they might think that it's not that worthwhile to spend so much money just to see one tomb. But for me, I think it's totally worthwhile. Because I want to solve the problem. Like to say, I want to go to one place, and this place can be very representative, and it means that you have been, maybe that means that you have been to 10 places. So I think it's another way to save money. And time, of course. So I still strongly recommend 31st, the tomb. That's the best one. That's the best preserved, very large, and the largest one, you can also say. And if you have been there, all the other tombs are not comparable to this one. Of course, I'm not saying that you should not pay any visit to other tombs. Of course, you can also go there, but every tomb, of course, has their own characteristics. But 31st can give you the most comprehensive understanding of what a tomb looks like. So if you can solve this one, If you can understand all the decorations or the setups for safety first, it should do very big help to your understanding of other tombs. So I want to spend more time on studying this tomb. Another interesting thing is that I stayed there for half an hour almost, and I was almost alone. Why do I say almost alone? I was the only visitor for that half an hour, only visitor. But I'm not alone. I still got some company. The ticket guy, the ticket old man, he was with me all the way there, trying to give me some help. But I should say the help is costly. Actually, he is trying to offer you some extra or even excessive, maybe I can say that, help, trying to get some money from you. This is always the same trick. They give you some not unnecessary help, like to give you the toilet paper, to offer you the hand wash gel like this kind. But in fact, you don't quite need that. Maybe you don't quite need that. You can also do that by yourself. You can press the outlet by your own hands. Why should I hire your hand to do this? But this is their trick. They can do all the things for you, although it's not necessary, so that you should pay them. And this is the so-called worst place, number one, that is summer. If you go there in summer, like me, this time I should say, you will never suffer from like crowds of tourists. Every place is, I cannot say empty, but every place is not crowded. I cannot recall any places that can be very crowded. Of course, there are some places that always have some visitors, like in Luxor, the Karnak, like the Valley of the Kings, like Hatshepsut temple, but that's very ordinary, right? You cannot expect that the whole Luxor has only you as the tourist, as a traveler. Another thing is that in general, the Airbnb or the hotels I stayed in are cheap, because this is not the hottest, not the rush hour, not the hottest season for traveling. And the real peak time for traveling is around Christmas. It's from Christmas to New Year. And this can also be a very bad time slot for traveling. Extremely, extremely bad, you can say. Some kids, some young kids. This is so clever, I should say, to have this almost open air arena, so to show the audience, show the parents what the training is like, try to attract more customers. So I should say, if I want to choose next step, or the second second visit to Egypt. But the first thing is, some friends or some people may think that it doesn't worth a second visit. But for me, I think it totally worth this. It's true that this country has a lot of problems. It's not very developed or very civilized. I mean, modernly civilized. But the culture, the history, the things you can learn from. So I think it's still worth the second visit. I still want to go to the Gem, the Grand Egyptian Museum. I still want to go to Aswan, to Luxor, to have another visit to Karnak, to Hatshepsut Temple. So it's totally worthwhile, I think, for me to pay a second visit. So I'm now thinking about the time for my second visit. And my second visit should not be at summertime anymore. And I think there are some better, maybe, timing. But the thing is that whether I can really go during that time, because I also have my own jobs. The second, the worst time to go there, like I said, is the peak hour, the peak traveling time, that is from Christmas to New Year. And this is the time for crowds of travelers. In maybe some places, maybe you can barely leave, you can barely move without enjoying the scenery. And I don't think that, even if that's the best temple, it may lose my interest. Another thing is that if you want to travel at that time, everything is expensive. Of course, right? You have so many travelers, so many commerce, everything can be more expensive. So try not to go there during that period of time. Another one is Ramadan. Ramadan is the festival for Muslims. And during Ramadan, they do not eat much, which also means maybe there will be more restaurants closing up. You might have not so many choices, and also if you want to visit some places, that place can cut the opening hour. For example, normally the temples and the museums close at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Maybe in Ramadan, it might close at 2 or 3. It might make your traveling timing or traveling plan more nervous. So another thing is, if you really want to have a taste of the Ramadan, or what it looks like in some Muslim country, one practical suggestion is that you can go at the end of the Ramadan, or at the just like before the Ramadan. And if you choose to go before the Ramadan, you can have the last maybe 1 or 2 days of Ramadan. So anyway, try not to make all your journey fall into Ramadan. That's the key to solve the problem. And this is so much about the Ramadan thing. Another one is Easter. And the reason is almost the same as the peak hour. As Easter can also be a very big festival, and lots of people will rush there. You might suffer from the crowds at the scenery spots. And the last worst time to visit is a local festival in Aswan. I don't quite understand the specific word he chose or he spoke for that festival. But during that festival, there will be some very big, very large-scale celebrations. And of course, this is maybe some good thing for the traveler, for some travelers. But this can also be super bad if you just want to avoid those crowds. So many people will come and try to have a look at the festival. So another thing you need to do is to have a check when will be some traditional festivals, and you should avoid. So in general, I am thinking about traveling once again at the end of this year, of course before the Christmas. For example, in mid-November, like this kind, or just November, or in middle of November, or next year, just in January, maybe 1 week after the New Year. And I'm also trying to ask whether someone might be interested to go there together with me next round. The next time when I go there, things will be, I think, will be much better than my first visit. This is the country that highly require your experience. Because almost everything can go wrong, can go illogical, can be surprising to you. Why this one happening this way? This is not logical. Yes, it's totally not logical because it's not developed country. A lot of things are very absurd. Of course, good news is that it's generally safe. Maybe not that safe for your wallet, financially safe, but it's at least physically safe. Okay, I think 24 minutes. That's my comments about the worst time to visit. And I think it's time for me to switch to another Chinese platform to say a little bit more, or maybe to talk about the same thing again, but in maybe another language. And I think that might be enough time. When I finish talking about that, another round, it might be totally fine for me to reach my Airbnb house. All right. So much for my comments, and if you like this kind of comment, please subscribe, and let's see each other again next time. Bye bye.